Hi, I'm Ileya Grossman. I live in Houston, Texas. I currently am getting a PhD in leadership and change, and I look at systems through a social justice lens. And I love education, and I was the photographer for this project. This project to me is about dignity and work. And Jay, as you said so eloquently, it's human centering work. And, often when we hear about work at like a society level, where we hear a lot about numbers and job loss and quiet quitting, which we've talked about. But those kind of like generalize people. And so what I love about this project is we center humans and we capture what they're doing on a daily basis and why they're driven by that. And we explore those questions just by watching and observing, and for me, photographing and listening to them share what they love, what they're passionate about in their daily process of work.
And can you tell me, so you've photographed all of the subjects or most of the subjects that are going to be part of this exhibit. So can you tell me if there are any trends that you see or any surprises that you encountered?
There were no surprises. But I would say for me, my ethos sits in we're already connected, so let's get to know each other. So for me, before photographing, I sat down with each participant and just listened to them talk about what they thought this project was about, because I'm a stranger to them, or I was a stranger to them photographing. And so to listen to them talk about what they loved about what they do, and it was really about the process. And so everyone really shared their experience and the storytelling around their experience, which to me means they're living what they want to be doing, and they're doing it. So for me, the pattern was really about living through purpose through daily actions.
So a little bit about your background. So you're Jewish, and this exhibit will be at a predominantly Catholic cultural festival. And what maybe motivated you to be a big part of it?
Yeah, so Catholic, Judaism, whatever we want to title it, it's, to me, religion is one avenue to connect spiritually with humans, with each other, and with the world, beyond humans. And so for me, I've always found, like nature and, just the way our whole world is operating. And so for me, I have always found spirituality in the undercurrent of human connection. And so when you brought this project to me, Jay, you kept saying, but what about the people? As you had once heard a discussion about ethics and work, you walked away saying, what about the people? And that's it for me too, is what about the people? What is it like in everyone's lives? Because I guarantee there's a connection there when, say, a viewer sees the photograph and they then can make the connection back to their own life. So being Jewish for me, one aspect I think about is like the Jewish toolbox. It doesn't mean that when I say the Jewish toolbox, what I really mean is like there's principles, guiding principles that are Jewish that I might live through. However, with a few different word translations, it's very similar to a Catholic toolbox, and to say a Muslim toolbox. So for me, it's the undercurrent of human connection that really attracted me to this. And it didn't even faze me that this was a Catholic convention or predominantly of Catholic faith people coming to the event. To me, it was, we're all human, and there's a connection here that's worth sharing.
And last question, unless there's anything you want to share, but the last question. So you got, like you said, you were in these people's intimate spaces, their work, you were at their kitchen tables, you were in their barbershops with people literally getting their hair cut while you were taking your pictures. So I was wondering if you can share maybe a story or two that might stick with you for a longer time.
Yeah. So one thing I recognized in almost everyone's work was that there was a physical, well, in everyone's work and all of our work, there's a physical element, whether we're sitting at a desk or we're trimming a beard. There's the presence of our whole body experiencing what we're going through. It's not just what we're thinking about. And what I really loved about this is that I could feel the energy that was being produced through their work and their pride, their love and pride for doing the work. And as I was walking around them, photographing and leaning on in really awkward spaces and angles, I was really proud and felt deeply connected to what they were doing because they were physically working, as I was in that moment too. So I think what I took away from these experiences was that the interconnection of both of us working at the same time and the passion and beauty that was coming from that, even though we were both producing two different things. Like, for instance, the barber was one of the more beautiful experiences because David, he looked like he was dancing around the men that were getting their hair trimmed and their beards cut. And it was like watching a ballet. And then I turn around and watch Hannah, who never stopped. She was the veterinarian. She went from working with a tiny Chihuahua to running outside and working with, with a large animal, a cow, and then calling someone on the phone saying that the puppy is going to have to go into surgery. She never stopped and she was laughing. And that meant I had to move around a lot too. And so that energy, it was just building and building, and it really created a positive atmosphere. And it was really a joy and honor to be with each of these people for a glimpse of their work.
So, and this will be the final question. So people will think, I think, we're probably going to put some connection between, John and Melissa, who just coincidentally, when we showed up, Melissa was cutting John's hair. Of course, Melissa is a caregiver for her husband who has a traumatic brain injury. And then David, who is a professional barber, obviously has a shop and is not cutting outside. So we might look at this because in some ways these look very different. I mean, in some ways they're similar activities. In some ways they seem very different. One's outside, obviously not a professional barber. One is, sort of a very curated, beautiful experience. But at the same time, there are both people spoke about the intense love they have for their work and for, the people that they're caring for. So I don't know if you have any thoughts on that. I know I think you were moved by all of these experiences, but I didn't know if you would speak about maybe some of these unique circumstances you found people in.
Yeah, that's right. Because they were one of our first photographs. So I kind of forgot photograph sessions. So I forgot that was one of our first like you and I both experienced kind of a move, like we could feel the energy. It was a really powerful, beautiful experience to sit with them and talk with them, and then to photograph outside under the oak, this large oak tree that, she was photographing, or she was cutting his hair. And then you flip over to David, which was this very intimate setting with gorgeous lighting and very well curated design, all the way down to just the architecture of the doorway. But the same thing was happening in the chair, and of the chair of the people who were sitting at their haircut, and that there was a conversation happening. They were sharing a little bit about their life. There was laughing and connection happening in that space. And that's something beautiful in itself, that there was a pause and a moment for two people to talk and share and relax together. One might be cutting hair and one might be just getting their hair cut, but there was a moment of connection. And then you threw me into the element, and for you and I both with Melissa, is that we got to be part of that too. And so what I hope for this project is that when viewers watch and see these videos and the photographs, is that they then feel connected to the situation we were connected to in the moment it was happening. So
thank you so much for your participation, and we really appreciate it.
Yeah, I loved it. Thank you.